if I'm out. But just let me know if you got any questions. You can shoot me a call or a text.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right,
I'll
for
be
sure,
back
man.
with you.
For sure. God bless. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
One.
All right, Andre. I'll see you later. All right,
What up, y'all? Gang, gang, out the jungle. My apologies. You know what I'm saying? Did not mean to make that go longer than it did. I ain't gonna lie. Definitely thought this thing would have opened up, but I forgot I was recording today. So, what's up, my people? It's good to see y'all. Gabe's in the waiting room. Here comes Big Gabe. We was chopping it up with Uncle Dre today. I am excited to really break this down, y'all. This is going to be a fire book club, I can tell. The conversations that I've been able to have this week already have definitely been lit as people have been diving into this book. So it's a vibe. Everybody outside. What's up, Rosisi? You outside? It look good outside. Quit playing. I need to be outside. My son is outside. It's my son's birthday today. My son turned 3, y'all. We getting old out here. It's crazy.
Happy birthday.
You know, hey, I'm gonna get him up here. I'm gonna get him on camera in a second. He downstairs. But with that being said, y'all, we're gonna kick this thing off, open this thing up, and talk about these first few chapters as well. Hey, thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all. Hey, oh, my man Justin is literally moving stuff. I was gonna call on him real quick because my man's was excited. He called me last night. We were actually chopping it up about this. But in that, would anybody like to open us up today?
Me,
Gabe's ready. What's up, B? Let's get it then. Get it cracking. All to you, player.
man, that whole intro in that book is phenomenal. It literally breaks down to the point where, bro, you literally just have to make the decision to work. You got to make the decision. You got to have that momentum in your head. Just, if it's not gonna get done, just do it. It said in this one chapter, I don't remember which one it was, but it stuck with me. It said, before you go to bed, say, just do it, 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 just do it. 50 times before you wake up and after you go. Before you wake up, or no, we wake up and we go to sleep. To say, just do it, just do it, just do it. You know what I mean? That's what stuck with me the most in that book. Just making that actual decision. It's a decision. You got to tell yourself you're gonna do it. Because if you don't tell yourself, it's not gonna happen. That I'm not. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. That's putting off tomorrow. Because it's gonna keep looping it back around. Just like today, I was just making a whole bunch of intentional messages. I don't care if I make mistakes because mistakes are gonna happen regardless. Even though it hurts my soul when people say no, and I don't care. You know what I mean? The mistakes, it's gonna be there. You know what I mean? Just gotta keep going and just yeah, that's it. In my opinion, that's what I got from the first few chapters. I'm gonna read back and review it, but that's what I got from it.
Hey, bro, you got to popcorn somebody else, bro. You got to popcorn somebody else. What's happening?
On this call, uh, Marcos, go ahead, bro.
I'm gonna go next. I'm gonna go next. I'm sorry.
Hey, y'all, real quick, big shout out, Marcus. Big shout out, Marcus, man. If you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? If you know, you know. Big shout out, Marcus. You're making changes, taking steps, checking off goals. He'll come on and talk about it. I'm willing to bet. But anybody else?
I volunteers tribute.
Cool.
I love you. Go ahead. Let's get it.
Okay, so I really, really, first of all, thank you for having this space. I love the book club. I really like this book too. I highlighted a few things that I want to talk about. So the motivation part, I think, was the biggest part that stuck out to me in chapter one. When he was talking about the inspiration gap, I don't feel like doing it and to just do it. And that's what Gabe was just talking about a little bit, but I want to go deeper. So they said after you start doing the thing, that's when the motivation comes and it makes it easy for you to keep on doing it. And then he added this quote: "You're more likely to act yourself into feeling than feel yourself into action. So act." And that really resonated with me because it'd be as simple as like washing the dishes. I'd be like, I don't have motivation. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'll do it later, you know? And uh, the motivation doesn't come from anywhere, like, unless I just get up and wash the dishes. And then, like, after I start washing the dishes, I'm cleaning the counters. And after I'm cleaning the counters, like, I'm picking up stuff up off the floor. Now I'm mopping the floor, sweeping the floor, and like the momentum builds after I start doing it, right? So that really just resonated with me a lot because I will find myself I struggle to find the motivation, and he was saying the motivation, the whole idea of motivation is a trap. Forget motivation, just do it. And it's pretty self-explanatory. There's not really much else I can say about it, but like that's really powerful because I hear a lot of people talking about motivation and like there'd be like motivational quotes and like people build their whole brand off like motivation. And it's like that I can listen to all the speakers that I want and all the audios and like read all the quotes and all the books and like none of that is gonna motivate me to do anything unless I just get up and do it. Period. So that was really powerful for me. And then the next part, if you want to reach your goals, if you want to reach your goals and fulfill your potential, become intentional about personal growth. It will change your life. And he talked about the formula for luck. And like I remember we've had discussions before where we talked about like luck doesn't exist. So this is kind of like a little bit of a different perspective on that. But his formula is preparation plus attitude plus opportunity plus action equals luck. And so like to me, like we think about luck as like chance, like it just happened, we got lucky or whatever. Like you go to the casino and you win. That's not what luck. That's not how he's explaining luck in this chapter. It's like it's really talking about being intentional and putting in the effort. And um, preparation takes time. Um, and then he the gym will change your direction overnight. And so, just like what I got from that is just like the intentional piece, which is what the whole first chapter is about, the law of intentionality. And like I think it boils down to like making a decision to do something and then doing it, like just following through, which sounds really simple. Doesn't always feel like that, but I think that it's not a complicated process, and we just overcomplicate it. So, what else do we talk about? I like these questions too that underneath that ask the big question now. Where do you want to go in life? What direction do you want to go? What's the furthest you can imagine going? Which reminds me of like what we talk about in Powerful Creator. It also reminds me of like when I was having a conversation with Marcus about reverse engineering and like picturing the big picture and working backwards. Um, what's crazy is I was talking, he brought that up. He said the word reverse engineering, and then like a couple days later, I was watching this video and the lady talked about reverse engineering. You know, like when something pops up, something new to you, and then like you can see it everywhere and hear it everywhere. That's what happened to me a couple weeks ago. So anyway, yeah, it's like our my imagination is limitless. I believe all of our imagination is limitless. So like we can go as far as we want to go. We can go as far as the fucking stars and the moon. Um, and it's about like it's about like getting clear on where we're going, what we want, what we're doing, and then um not holding ourselves back from that. So I don't know, it's crucial. And he starts off with like to grow, you must know yourself, your strengths and weaknesses, your interests and opportunities. You must be able to gauge not only where you've been, but where you are now. And I like this. I'm over here like trying to keep my daughter from running into the street while I'm trying to do this. Okay. Knowing yourself is like reading you are here on a map when you want to find your way to a destination. So this was kind of reminding me of when we read from Emotional Intelligence 2.0 and how it talked about self-awareness. Um, and he talked about like people who lack self-awareness. Well, hold on, before I get into that, like he brought up the story of he brought up the story of He referenced 50 First Dates, which is a great movie if you've never seen it. And then he brings up the story about the guy who like had that in real life, like the short-term memory loss. He couldn't remember anything. He didn't know who he was, basically. And that's like the metaphor for the lack of self-awareness. Um, and then he talked about where did it go? I don't know. He said something about acceptance and awareness and acceptance is like the first step in like knowing yourself. And you have to like know who you are and accept who you are to be able to like do the things you want to do. And I know that there's a lot of people who lack self-awareness. Like you can just tell. Like I was at the mall the other day and like kind of walk through the mall and like people are just standing there. And they're just walking slow, like no self-awareness at all. And no spatial awareness. But there's a lot of people who just, they just I don't know. They're living their life on autopilot, it seems like. And he talked about that, like, he talked about the three different kinds of people who don't know what they would like to do, people who know what they like to do but don't do it, and people who know what they would like to do and do it. And I feel like the majority of the people in the world, or at least like in the world that I exist in, like, most people don't know what they want to do because they're just doing what they've been told to do, what they've been conditioned to do, what they've been taught to do, what they think they should do, what somebody told them to do. And he talked about how he worked in the meat packing factory or whatever, and he didn't like it, and he didn't want to, he would have did that for the rest of his life and been unhappy. Um, and there's a bunch of people who are like that, like my own mother, for example. Like so many people work jobs and do shit they don't want to do because they feel like they have to. And he talked about, he was like, I understand this, need for making a living. Like we all need to make a living, but he starts getting into like find your passion, figure out your passion, figure out what you love to do, and then he goes deeper and he was like, you not doing just what you like to do, but like incorporating that with what you're good at. Because he used the example of the kid from his church who was the worship leader, and Bobby was his name. Bobby, Bobby was unhappy, and Bobby was unhappy because he wanted to be the announcer for the baseball team or whatever, right? And like the author's like he had no skills to get him there. So yeah, he talked about figuring out what it is that you're good at and what you like to do and incorporating that, which is like Sam when you pulled up the icky guy, whatever it's called. That's like what that reminded me of. So yeah, I think that and like he talked about finding your passion and your purpose. So I didn't get into all this. No, I did get into this, but I'm gonna pass the mic so I don't, talk about the whole entire thing. Actually, I'm gonna say one last thing. He said one of the main keys to being successful and fulfilling your purpose is to understand your unique talents and find the right arena in which to use them, which just sums up what I just said. So that's it. That's all. We outside today. I'm gonna choose Jason.
Yo, what's happening, family? Appreciate your insight, row. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So I actually have like a dumb amount of notes. Uh, so I'm actually just gonna kind of skim over some. I highlighted some areas I'm gonna talk about. First thing I want to start was actually on page 4. I think it was like the first, maybe the page or something like that. But it talks about how he's going to work and that not one person, nobody in his world had a plan for growing or improving. That right there, that quote scared me, but it also motivated me because I have become accustomed to personal development myself, right? To the point where if people around me are not trying to better themselves, then I'm wrong for being around them. All right. And that's one thing about taking accountability is if you're going to be around people that are not growing, it's your fault. It is your fault. And not being able to acknowledge that is another fault of yours. All right. But I made a little video today on Instagram. Is like the longer you wait to do something you should do now, the greater odds that you're not actually going to do it, right? There's been many times in my life where I was like, I'm gonna do that later, I'm gonna do that later, I'm gonna do that later. And guess what? Later never came, right? And that's on me. That's not on anybody else, that's on me. Right. So the greatest danger you face in this moment is the idea that you will make intentional growth a priority later. right? So going back to what Gabriel was saying about the making mistakes, the familiar is easy. That's why you don't make mistakes. The familiar is easy. That's why you don't make mistakes, all right? The uncharted and unknown path is lined with uncertainties, right? You could think about it with God in your life. You know how we're very spiritual beings. If you look back on your past, you can see, oh God, this is the plans that you had for me. Oh, now I see it. But if you try to look to the future, what is it? Uncertainty, right? That applies to everything that you're going to do in life. And the thing that stuck out with me too is I don't know if y'all caught that quote, but the only difference from a rut and a grave is the length. We've all been in ruts. We've all been in situations to where like, dang, like I can't seem to get past this plateau or I plateaued in my life. That is a rut. And they only last for a little bit. But a grave, that's forever. You ain't never seen anybody go into a grave and come back unless his name is Jesus Christ. Okay, that's the only person. So figure out the difference between a rut and a grave, because if you want to stay in a rut forever, you're technically in a grave. All right, it's not a rut. That's what I got from chapter 1. All right, chapter 2, that story that Roshizi was talking about of the man who underwent surgery and couldn't remember anything he did at all. Short-term memory loss, right? But what I got from that story was a chest punch. He was stuck in time, unable to grow and change. That's a tragedy. Now, how many of us are doing the same thing without that medical condition? Huh? I want y'all to think about it. How many of y'all are acting like y'all have that same medical condition? Because I know I was, and you weren't trying to grow simply because you didn't want to. Because if you wanted to, you would have, right? You understand? If you wanted to, he would, or like type things, you know what I'm saying, that people say. Because you would. If you really wanted to do something, you're gonna do it. Nothing will stop you. Like Gabriel was saying, just do it, right? Now, I want to fast forward to this quote where it talks about Socrates. I can't remember the how to say it.
Socrates.
Socrates, thank you. Thank you. But he says the unexamined life is not worth living, so the unlived life is worth examining. All right. So with that, I did a little bit of research on that, right? So what that means is there's value in reflection. Even if a perfect person feels they haven't truly lived, meaning they didn't pursue their passions, take risks, or reach their potential, that life still holds insights. All right. Reflecting on why someone didn't live fully can be just as revealing as reflecting on a rich, active life, right? No life is unworthy of insight. Just as the examined life gains worth, the unlived life gains value when studied. It may reveal truths about human nature, fear, societal pressure, trauma, or spiritual stagnation. Opportunity for redemption or growth. By examining the unlived life, a person might find the motivation or wisdom to start living more fully even later in life. All right. So, like to summarize that, we must also examine the parts of our lives we didn't live. All right. The roads not taken, because those hold lessons too. And then this is some, before I finish up, I want to tie in this with some of our leaders. All right. Especially Marcus and Mikhail. You know, those are our top leaders. Those are our uplines and stuff like that. But when you do things for the right reasons, it gives you inner strength when things go wrong. Guys, our brothers have been in this game 10 plus years. All right. And there is a reason why they can go through failure and successes and successes and successes and failures, and they don't quit. Why? Because they're doing things for the right reasons. They're not doing it for their own benefits. They're literally trying to help us. And whenever we can take that same help and we can go and help someone else, right? We can always do something better. So we have to take time to reflect and explore your intentions and your attitude. Your vision will only become clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, and who look insides awakens. That's a bar right there. I don't know if y'all caught that, but that was a bar right there. Who looks outside dreams, but who looks inside awakens. All right. And The last quote I want to leave y'all with before, you know what I'm saying, before I do this with the last chapter two, I actually came up with this. Well, I didn't. ChatGPT did. Shout out to ChatGPT. Um, was an acronym for the word life. But before that, people say that there are two great things in a person's life: the day that you were born and the day that you discover why. Right. So with that, I want y'all to all choose life. And life is live on purpose, not by accident. All right. So it's to live intentionally, fight eternally, live intentionally, and fight eternally. Life. All right. That's all I got for chapter ones and twos. So I'm gonna let y'all take it. I gotta popcorn somebody. Let's go. Let's go. Let's see. Boy, Sam, what's going on, Sam?
What's up? Those are fire takes. Fire takes, Rochelle and Jason. Those were definitely some quotes that stood out to me. Man, just I was listening to the audio and reading along with it, and this book just seemed like a mirror. It seemed like just a mirror holding up to yourself and that life. I like that. I like that, Jason. That life. Just a good reminder. And real quick, before I get into it, I do want to give it back to our leaders of our organization for throwing this audible and throwing this book into the rotation. And because this one is fire. And I appreciate all y'all showing up, having your cameras on, even my boy Justin outside, tuning in, staying close to the campfire. Like, bro, that's the stuff that gets me excited, bro. Shout out. Because there's so much value being shared here. And as I get into it, uh, just to just to know coming up on my 12-month mark, into this journey, being in this process, and being in this position of self development, this book really just seemed like a mirror because he as he broke down all the gaps, all the gaps, it really seemed like it put words to how I was feeling. You know, as the assumption gap, just believing things would just happen just because. I've always been a fortunate individual. I pick up things really quickly and just understanding that in my early 20s, I was growing by accident. Everything was just out of convenience. And, I've been hearing lately in your 20s, you either live it up and become an underskilled 30-year-old, or you overwork and become an underlived 20-year-old or underlived 30-year-old. And there's no do-overs, right? And so always understanding that I chose the words, words, words. And then he brought out one of the first sentences he brought out was basically don't mistake activity with growth. Relying to yourself. That's why it seemed like just a mirror, just holding up. As I was reading along, it seemed like just a mirror because, and there's steps to this process. Everybody's in their own on their own position in their journey. As Jason brought out, we have leaders that have been in space for over a decade now, and you know, understanding where you are. That's really what I have to take away from it. Is just put yourself in these words and really take heart of what he's saying, because a lot of people get stopped. A lot of people get stopped their growth because of the things that he's talking about in this in chapter one, and because it's hard, and he even says it at the end of at the end of the chapter. Oh, I did believe in chapter two when he gets into mentors and understanding that it's really hard to do this on your own. That's why I'm very grateful for this space. I'm very grateful for this community. Very grateful for each and every one of y'all. But to tie it back in chapter one, the gaps. I mean, the assumption gap. Believing growth will occur automatically. Living so many years in in this gap, and then starting this process and the knowledge gap, and it's just a lot of reflective has been happening recently just because I'm coming up on my 12-month mark and understanding that, I was having a conversation with Mikhail, and I said, if you wouldn't trade your life for today, 12 months ago, then it's progress. If you wouldn't trade your life from what the life you were living 12 months ago for the life you're living today, it's progress. And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot over these 12 months, and to understand that there's a knowledge gap that you can get caught and always learning. I mean, you always want to stay in that student mode, but don't let it hinder your action. As Gabriel said, just do it, just do it, just do it. As you really emphasized, and I mean, it's so true. And then the first thing Jason put on your story, I was fire. What you said about timing today. There is no right time. You know, it's the time to do the right thing is always right now. I mean, that was fire. And as Gabriel brought out too, the fear of making errors, the mistake gap. You know, I put on my story or on this last post, I put you can't have success without failure, and you can't have failure without trying. So as Gabriel brought out, you know, it comes with it. So instead of making failures on accident, make failures on purpose and have intention behind it, like that life acronym that Jason just brought out. Like, and so that's really what I got. I mean, this is really looking like a mirror as I just already in a reflective state and just um, you know, understand that these are the things. You know, this really seemed like a step by step. I mean, everything is that how we have a part of our organization and systems. But this really seems like a step by step of like how do you grow? It's question. It's you have the self awareness to ask these questions because I mean you don't know what you don't know. So to put these words in front of in front of our eyes and read it and take it into our mind and apply it into our hearts is like, I mean, it really brought out motivation is absolutely nothing. Like motivation is not when it's not there when you want it. It's not there when you need it. Um, but when and oh this is the quote that I was gonna bring out when what motivates you lines up with what satisfies you, it is a pair of powerful combination because you know as I've been getting poured into over this last 12 months and really coming into my own and understanding that what I was doing was not aligned. You know, Jim Rohn says it even says it in this book that change you cannot change destinations overnight, but you can change directions. And it really seemed like it was a switch. Once my mind expanded, once I got exposed to the other side, behind the curtain, so to speak, of a life that I knew I could attain and go after with with the position that I'm in right now, to go after it. And so the life I was living wasn't aligned. And trust, guys, like it's been a journey because I mean I've had really close people that I cared really deep about not be aligned with the life that I was called to, the calling that I hear so echoing. So understanding that when motivation lines up with passion, like what Susie brought out, you have to be passionate. So it's a powerful combination and understanding that hand in my life, how that has applied in my life. It's been amazing. So this book just really seems like it's putting words to everything that I've been feeling, everything that I've been going through. And it's so I'm really appreciative to be able to read this book with you guys and hear the rest of your insights. So I appreciate y'all giving me this time and space. Um, let me see if I believe Andrew just stepped away. Marcus, did you go? I'll talk to my boy Marcus if he's available and ready.
You want? I can go too.
Oh, Justin, let's go, bro. My boy outside, let's go, bro. I love it.
All right, I'm about to basically give like from my notes. Like I have something in my van as far as notes, but from what I remember from the book, what I just read last night, I read the whole thing, and what happened was I thought in my brain that my goals were not where they needed to be. So when I was analyzing myself and aligning myself with what the book had in store, I realized that I was always waiting for the right time. Well, not even the right time. Well, I was waiting for a perfect moment to do everything. And I realized that that's not really realistic because things have to keep going. Like time doesn't stop moving. Right now, as we speak, time is always moving. So
in that, like, I realized that there's different types of ways to hold yourself back, and that they were actually real because the book actually sat there and laid it out in front of me. And I was kind of like struck right in the chest when I read it too, because when I seen what I needed to do, it was kind of like my conscience was there the entire time telling me I needed to do this, I needed to do that. But I just didn't choose to do it. Just like you said, Sam, like you can choose to live. I don't know if it was you, Sam, who said it, but it's like you can choose to live. You can choose not to live in a sense. Like it's everything is right in front of you. And I realized I struggled with the inspiration and the perfection gap. My bridge was probably just like Jason said, disconnect from, bad influences and continue to just do because I realized that like I just needed to stay on it. Sometimes I get in a mode mentally where I'm doing everything. Like right now, say for example, I'm working at Amazon. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing right now. I'm staying on track. But I missed a couple book clubs. Now I know that I can get to it, but I'm looking for motivation. I'm looking for a perfect time to get things done. When I told myself when I joined, I'm gonna hold myself accountable and I'm gonna grow and I'm gonna do what I need to do to be where I need to be for not just myself anymore. And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot that hit me. And I realized there's a fear of alienating everyone around me, as in my friends, people that are close to me. Like I have a big fear of it. And I wrote down here, I said the thought of losing the people I care about has like scarred me severely. And I don't think like I need therapy. I think what I really need to do is realize that this is real life and kind of suck it up because not to sound like harsh, but it's just I know there's left, I know there's right. Now, God has given us the choice to choose left or right. So if you have the option, I see it as a simple right. Take the right, go the right way, take the right, whatever your conscience tells you. And I sat there and I said, like I need to wake up early, prioritize, eat healthy consistently. Like I started getting out of shape and I was in shape and I lost myself a little bit, but I regained myself. Like I lost people around me and things have been different as of lately. But I realized that I don't want those things to be the factor of why I'm not who I need to be. So I realized I applied these things to today, like last night. I realized if I don't create habits like right now after I finish reading these two chapters, nothing's probably gonna change. So I had to change last night, and that's why you see me here. I'm sweating bullets while here on the call. I just realized there's no right time. Like I can't join a call if like I used to think I can't join a call because I'm too busy. I look like this. I'll do that, or like things that perfectionists struggle with. And that's why last night I reached out to Mikkel. I had a call with him, and I also wanted to figure out like goal setting wise mentally where my head was at. So I realized that the cost of time, like there can either be a cost of time or a reward of time. So I just held myself accountable, and that's what I'm trying to do right now as we speak. But yeah, that's really the most I got out of it. And yeah, now I'm here. Yeah. So if I was to popcorn, if anybody's available, I'll just let them unmute. I'm not gonna spec- specify anyone, but if I had to, I would pick Marcos.
If he's not available, I can go next.
Yeah, I can go after you. Can't read my phone. Appreciate y'all. I'm tuning in listening. I was just away from my phone. I apologize, y'all. I'm here. I'm here.
Do you want to go right now? You can go right now.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. Appreciate you.
All right. Hello. Good morning, everybody. everybody's had some like crazy fire takes. Like Sam said something I was gonna say, and I just forgot what he was gonna say because Justin said something that I like went all in on thought about that. But just to start, just so I don't lose the thought, what Justin said right now about having that fear of losing other people, that's very, very real. And I think that we really have to acknowledge that because we have to grieve these people, but also let them go at the same time with love and knowing that they're not victims. We're not leaving them behind. They have access to the truth just the way that we do, and they're making choices just as well, you know? And I get it, like we outgrow people because we're being intentional, right? And so that's what this chapter is about. That's the chapter that I read. I didn't get into the second chapter, but I will. So just to get into it, like the chapter being intentional, the law of being intentional. That's why I'm really, really grateful for this book club and the systems that we have and systems in general, because it talked about like the assumption gap of thinking that we're just automatically going to grow. It is not going to happen. Like we don't automatically grow. Um, we all go through experiences and we all have life experiences that does teach us, but deciding that we're going to learn from that and deciding that we're going to do something different from that is intentional. And not everybody's making those decisions. A lot of people are making decisions that they're victims and that is just happening to them and like, woe is me, and like life sucks and like, oh my God. But that's not happening. We are leaders, right? We are creating and we are experiencing, and we can make a difference in our experience and in our life. And we can learn from all of these lessons and make sure everything is always working out for us, but we have to view our life as that. We have to have the eyes of opportunity and see how everything is working out for us and be intentional about that. Like you literally have to make a choice every single day that this is working out for me. This issue is working out for me. Some way, somehow, this is working out for me. What Roshizi talked about with motivation, like it's like a shower. You have to motivate yourself every single day. Like in the chapter, it talked about like just doing it. That's real, like just doing it, like you have to just get up and like continue to keep going. And what did Sam say? What was it? One second. I don't know, but it was something great that made me think. um the perfection gap, making sure that we don't like get stuck in the perfect way to do stuff. Like I know for me, like I can like do that too, like it even like in micro ways, right? Like say there's like a book I want to read or something, like I'll like tend to like overthink just reading it, or just being like, okay, like I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna like do all this and then I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna read, and then like it doesn't go that way, and then I don't feel like in tune to do it. And so it just doesn't feel like perfect, right? But what I've learned, it's never going to be like that. It's never just going to be convenient. You just have to put the audio on, just read the book, just start reading it right now, just like you know what I mean? And that stuff is going to add up, and so we build muscles about like being intentional. I really love the question of the knowledge gap. I don't know how to grow, and that's real. That's real. Like sometimes, like especially when we're first starting, we don't know where to start. There's so many principles, there's so many books, there's so many things to start off with, right? And so it's just important. That's why, like when it comes to the knowledge gap, if I don't know how to grow, that's really important to me. That reminds me of like, if you're asking yourself that question, then get around a leader, get around somebody who's intentional about growing, and just being around them, having a conversation, you will be led to how to grow, you know? And really, like, to answer the question is how to grow is like having a system, like having something like intentional, that like putting it on the calendar, right? I talked about that in the chapter, like every Saturday morning we get up, we're discussing this book, you know? And I know for me, I have some other calls, like we all have other calls that we host and stuff, especially as leaders, and those systems are in place for that, so we can continue to build upon our growth, you know? What else? What else? The expectation gap. I really liked when I talked about that. Like I thought it would be easier than this. Growth is difficult. It's not like super easy all the time, right? Like I think, I don't know who said it, but it doesn't get easier, you just get better, right? Like we learn these principles, we practice them, and as you're growing, they're not going to get easier. Like it's not going to be easy. Like it's not going to feel easier. We're just going to get better at it. Our muscles are going to get stronger at doing it, right? Like for example, like this book club call, you know, it's Saturday morning, right? We all have stuff going on every single day. Like it's not stopping no matter what, right? But when we create, we're very intentional about like, this is the time that I do this, and you schedule that time for you over and over and over and over, your life starts to adjust around it and it starts to become easier, right? Like, I know for me, waking up on a Saturday morning and studying and getting on the call and having something to say was way easier today than it was like a year and a half ago. Like, I remember a year and a half ago, I was like scrambling, like, what? And I was stuttering, like I would get all hot. I would like stress out. But you know, over time, like you get better, and it's like, and it becomes a part of your life. And I think when it comes to the law of intentionality, especially when it comes to growth, um, making growth a part of your life, like revolving your life around the principles and the practices of your growth is what I think all of us should be doing and should like change our mindset to, right? Instead of revolving our life around everything else, we have to have set principles and set practices in place that we revolve our life around, and then we go from there. Right. And so like this book club call, this is a practice. This is a Saturday morning growth practice. Right. And my life revolves, like my Saturdays revolve around this. Like I wake up and like, this is what I'm going to do. And then everything else happens. Right. Like someone asked me, I don't know when someone asked me, like, how do you make it like part of your routine, or I don't know. They asked me like, how do you like get up and do it? Like I get up and get like on book club, or like, oh, how do you be consistent with getting on the calls and getting on book club? And I'm just like, it's not an option. Like when I'm out the night before, I'm not like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to make it to book club tomorrow. I'm like, no, I'm going to get on book club. So I probably should like go to bed, or like, you know, like it's not an option. It's not like, you don't make it an option. You got to go, you got to get to it. And then I say like, one of the last things is when you don't feel like doing it, but you do it anyway, acknowledge that. Like I know in the Powerful Creator community, we started Rich Dad Poor Dad. And the week that we started that book, it was like 2 weeks ago. And it was in the middle of everybody's lives. You know, it was in the middle of my life. I had just got back from vacation. I know like we had just finished the previous book. You know, it's summertime, school is ending, like there's so much going on. And that week that we started it, we committed to starting it. And so we all showed up and we just acknowledge the fact that, hey, this does not feel good right now. This is not convenient. I know it's not convenient for me. So it's probably not convenient for you right now, but we're here now. So let's slow down. And in this hour, this is the only time that matters, right? This is the time that we dedicated to it. So right here, right now, you know, maybe we probably didn't study before, right? We probably don't have time later because of everything else that we have to do, but right here, right now is what matters. And so let's talk about this, right? And so it's not about being perfect. It's not about being like, oh my God, I'm going to get every single note right and like revolve my life around doing this. It's like, no, like let's show up to what we said we were going to do and do our best there. And that's enough, right? Because we're going to show up week after week and it's going to compound build. And so I really like this law, like the law of intentionality, because it's something that I know for me as a leader has really helped me stay grounded. And it's something recently that I've been really like intentional about, like especially in the community that I lead, which is making sure that we are applying the practices that we're learning instead of just talking about them. Because there are a lot of people who are just talking, right? They get on TikTok and just talk. They go on YouTube and just talk. They go on Instagram and just talk, like more like Roshizi said, like they use motivation, like you can do it, but like what are you doing? And are you actually doing it, or you're just telling people what to do? Right. And so it's actually getting in there and asking real deep questions about like, hey, like what's really going on? Like, how do you really do this? How do you actually apply this step today in practical, real time action? You know, not in theory, not conceptually. And I believe that's it. That's all I have to share. 1 second. Start today to create a growth appointment, like scheduling it. You will never change your life until you change something that you do daily. And I'm going to leave it on that last note. And I will say that like the one habit that I believe that is extremely foundational and extremely important is the conversations that you are having. every single day with every single person. There is no such thing as a neutral conversation. There's no such thing as a neutral relationship or neutral friends. I was reading in the 21 Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell, the law of the inner circle. He talked about if a person in your life brings only fun and ease, they're not helping you grow. They're not bringing you value. And I know sometimes, like in this growth process, we're outgrowing people. And there's people who we used to party with, right? We used to hang out with. They're a cool, fun time. But if those conversations are not, that's what Sam said. He said, you have to find something that motivates you and satisfies you, right? When you find that, like that literally is it. So getting to know yourself. And that's like, to me, the reason why that resonated with me, because it's the power of community. Like coming together as a community is extremely satisfying for me. Like it's just something part of my personality. Like I love to connect with other people. And so it's also motivating for me. So when you find that, like just it's freaking great. What was I saying? So the conversations that you're having, if you are tolerating people in your life because they're your friends, because you've known them forever, because they like you and you feel bad for them or you feel guilty for them, they are not helping you. And I know that we're leaders and that we, are selfless and that we're giving, but we have to have a certain level of selfishness where we are making sure that we are sustaining ourselves and the people are bringing value back. You do not want to be the most vibrant in the room, the one who always has something to say, like so where people are just listening to you. There's a time and place for that, but like people should be bringing value to you, right? Like when you get off the conversation, you should feel better. You should feel like motivated, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that, right? You shouldn't feel like you just poured into them and like have to regather yourself again because that conversation kind of like drained you or like took you off. And don't get me wrong, there's times for that, you know what I mean? But like if it's happening every single day and this person is a consistent part of your life and you're just tolerating them or you don't want to leave them behind because you feel bad for them because eventually they'll like get it together. No, you're not. You're enabling them. You're not helping them. It's selfish. Like you're not helping them as much as we think that we are. Um, anyways, I've been going through that recently, and that's why I had like mentioned whatever Justin said about like the fear of that, because I used to have a fear of that too. Like I didn't want to, it was very hard for me to let people go. I was very emotional about it, like very sad, believed in people. But one thing that I've learned is that when you do not have the same values as other people, y'all aren't practicing the same things, what's going to happen is they are going to if you are not aligned, they're going to some way, somehow dismiss themselves. And if we are not intentional about that, that means if you don't end the relationship and in yourself say this relationship is no longer serving me and you start to create some separation, if you don't do that, because everything does work out for you, that separation is going to happen. And if you're not intentional about it, it's going to happen in the form of pain. That means they're going to do something unintentional or intentional, whatever, that is going to cause you to be like, okay, like this is obviously like not working out. Like you hurt me, like they did something, especially if you don't have the same values, it's going to happen. It's happened time and time again. And instead of waiting for that to happen, let's just start to create that separation ourselves and know that it's for the best interest and all is well. And maybe it's just for a season, Anyways, that is my spiel on that. Go ahead, Marcus, take it away.
Boom. Fire and desire, fam. What's popping? Y'all, I am extremely blessed and excited to dive into this this book. Shout out Mikhail, because I was deadlocked on Rich Dad Poor Dad. But we had some intentional conversations, and we were able to actually get in tune with understanding where whole squad was at, but also knowing also knowing where it is that we are attempting to all go together, right? Because I know some people build a business, some people just trade, some people are just trying to grow their entrepreneurial endeavors. But the thing that we all have in common is we're at one place and we're all attempting to be somewhere we're not currently. And that requires growth, period, point blank. And it's great to know all the things, but it makes no sense if they don't get applied. I think y'all understand that concept. Y'all throw some ones in the chat. Y'all know that. We've been saying that for every book that we've talked about and covered as a team. We understand and we see that. Yeah, okay, here are the ones. Like you got to literally apply the things. Now, then it comes down to the question is like, if you know the things, why aren't they being applied? And that requires a thought process of intention. And I was hearing a lot of y'all talk about having the mirror in your face as you were starting to dive into the book. Y'all were delivering some bars too. I was over here getting some things knocked out for a blessing that came across in my life recently. Hold on, quick, 1 second, 1 second. But yeah, boom, this is what I was looking for. Bow. Okay. Thanks, boss. I appreciate you. I was literally driving around this whole store trying to figure out where it's at. Appreciate that. But yeah, so that being said, I think this book comes at a great time because we're all at a pivotal point. Like, I don't know if you guys can feel the energy and shift in the air of transition. And it's like all over the world. Thank you. From cars driving themselves to us being in prime position to take off. And all I know is that when you have that understanding of your potential, you'll go and do things that you didn't think was possible. And then you'll allow God to move in your favor. And like, y'all, check it out. I got a whip. I got a whip. For
What?
those who know my
No
story, I know it's
way.
been some time. It's been a long time
Oh
coming.
shit.
And what's
Marcus
crazy
is
is the way
outside.
that it came about and how I was able to get in the car. Is something
Let's
that's
go.
literally blows my mind, y'all. I started Ultima Brothers. That's so funny. um, Definitely a she. I haven't named her yet. But what's crazy, y'all, is I started the week having no idea. Being in a situation where like it needed to happen or I was gonna be kind of SOL and I was gonna take it day by day. But I literally just operated in faith. Like my mom came out on Monday and she was I was telling her about the week that I had ahead for this weekend and some of the events that I'll be working. And she was like, yo, I don't know how that's gonna happen. Like we gotta figure it out. And I was like, I don't know either, but God will figure it out and we'll figure it out as we continue moving forward. And then he just really just delivered something serious. So just a little side note. One, I'm feeling extremely blessed and I'm grateful. Just because it's been some time coming and God's really humbled me. He let me understand exactly what I needed. And amen. Yes, he will. Yes, he will, Rosidi. Yes, he will. But it's actually wild because he just put me in a season to understand the actual um the actual truth that if all you have is him, you have everything you need, and you'll stay extremely focused to go and do the things that Jason was talking about for year after year, sustaining perseverance, failure after failure after failure, and not understanding it to be a negative thing, but knowing that you're inching closer and closer to your goal. You're finding out ways that aren't an alignment with where you're truly trying to go. And essentially, as I was reading the introduction, you know what I'm saying? Because I was a little hesitant on whether or not we should read this book at the very beginning. But as I was starting to read the introduction, I was like, okay, I definitely understand what he's saying. And a lot of the same things are applying in terms of, y'all, one, I love Uncle Jimmy and Mr. John C. All right. They've done something serious in my life over the last 5 years that I can only thank their wisdom for and God allowing me to actually come across their teachings. But with that being said, diving right into it, I had a couple things I wanted to touch on before I pass the rock. I'm gonna go meet up with my grandpa to go eat lunch real quick. But I have the ebook. I'm waiting for my book to come in the mail. 1 second. All right. Wow. But yeah, it was definitely from the intro. Hold on. Okay, so he talked about, and it was definitely cool because I don't think I've seen potential being talked like that, right? He said potential is filled with hope, it promises success, and it implies fulfillment. It hints at greatness, and the word itself is based upon possibilities, right? But then the second paragraph, and it was not unintentional because he's a very intentional individual. He talked about unfulfilled potential and how that has a negative connotation to it, because the only way in which you go and actually reach your full potential is if you decide to grow. And that potential is never fully met or fulfilled if you don't make the decision, right? It's I don't think it's purposeful either, right? In terms of, or it's a coincidence either that we hear about the law of intentionality in a multitude of different books. And I just really want to like actually make this extremely apparent if it went over your head, because it's something we see often. Everything matters more than you think. How you do anything is how you do everything. If you understand that everything that is seen and everything is done derives from a thought, then you can really tap into your potential, because you recognize that the simplest actions, the minor things that we do and how we do them, come from a starting point of the energy, the attitude, and the demeanor that you were deciding to carry out those actions in, right? A lot of us hear about frequency. A lot of us hear about the law of attraction. A lot of us understand these core principles. But when it comes to actually putting them into place, the biggest part is knowing why you're doing what you're doing. Like the reason why I move without a shadow of a doubt in everything that we have going on now is because I outline the bigger picture, and I know that everything that I'm doing is towards that. I don't have time for anything else. I can say no to the things that no longer align with me getting closer to where I want to go. Therefore, I can grow. I can literally take steps from where I'm at currently to where I really want to actually be. And that's what he's talking about. Like the time that you have is right now. Shout out Jason for the content. Funny AF, y'all. I started dying when I seen John Cena. And the whole song, bro. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out his story. But it's actually hilarious because the perfect time to take advantage of an opportunity, the perfect time to do something that is right, the the best time to do that was yesterday. That's came and gone. The second time and best opportunity you have to carry out that action is literally right now. And if you understand that's truly all that you have, you'll be more intentional about being present. As Amber said, right? Every conversation is not just some nuisance conversation. Everything is purposeful. You never know where a conversation can lead. Y'all got to recognize that. Mikhail and I understood this truth, and we went into our first conversation with intention of getting to know whether or not we were somebody that we could vibe with. And then we're like, oh shit, dude, you're cool. And like, we're on the same page and let's do this together. And it's crazy how it really just starts with an understanding of purpose, right? If you make the decision to grow, you literally will take the step. And as Coach CJ said on the value session, you got to go. Like you've got to take the actions. And I think a lot of what we miss and where there's a lack of progression or growth is the analysis that doesn't happen in your own life. I think it was, I don't know who brought it up, but Socrates, who talks about the unexamined life is not worth living, right? So you've got to analyze and recognize what you do well, what you don't. You can't just act like what you do doesn't matter, because it does. I don't know how many times I see people go through their life blindly, just doing things and never reflect. And they'll live their whole life that way, y'all. Till they're 60, 70 and ready to go to the grave. And like at the end of the day, if you have this crazy pull within your system and within your life that is calling you away from where you're currently at, then you've got to actually take the steps, because these principles have been taught since the beginning of time. And I'm going to leave it with this, because I think my guy ET literally set it on a nail, and I'm standing on this truth unapologetically in my life. And it's that you literally have to better your best. Like your best is not the standard. the standard is the standard. And if you want to grow, and if you want to get from where you're at to where you truly want to be, then there are certain actions that you need to take that you're not taking, that you will not be able to go and fulfill unless you take those actions. Respectfully, no one cares about your opinion. And I do not need your approval or your opinion to do whatever it is that has been set as the standard for millennia. If you don't know what the word millennia means, but for thousands of years, not just a century, 100 years, not just 20 to 50 years, but thousands of years. There's a tax that has to be paid for success. And if you want to play the game, you've got to pay the tax. And it takes time. But it never happens unless you understand why you're doing it, and you will not grow. Yo, my whole life changed when I understood what I truly wanted, and I got extremely clear. I got specific, and I took the first step forward. And then fast forward 4 or 5 years, I find myself in a position where I am just constantly taking one foot up to the other, right, left, right, left. That happened, continue going, right, left. This happened, continue going, right, left. Distraction, right, left. This person talking shit, right, left. This person loves me and is grateful, right, left. You get it all. And it's actually crazy because the only thing that actually matters is why you're doing it and who you're doing it with. And if you know those clearly and you've got the right intentions, the purpose of doing things on purpose, and you've got the right people in your corner telling you the truth, holding you accountable, growing and walking with you, as my mentors like to say, they are climbing the tree. You're not pulling them up. They are climbing the tree with you. You're not pushing them up, but you're helping each other get to the next step. And it's a never-ending goal. And that's all I've ever wanted, y'all. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Y'all touched a lot. I didn't want to really go crazy too much and be repetitive, but I really wanted to talk about like my point of view and where I'm at right now. And I'm excited, y'all. I really do feel like God is about to open up the floodgates, and I hope y'all are buckled up. And bare minimum, please come to the ocean with a bucket and not a teaspoon, knowing that success is abundant and you can have as much of it as you would like, but you've got to go and take the steps. You got to go with the right tools, and you've got to be willing to gather. You got to be willing to
And Marcus got to impede. You know what I'm saying? More than likely his phone got hot. He new to this whole driving on FaceTime and Zoom thing. You know what I'm saying? He might not know the vibes yet. But in that, bro, get your phone out the sun, put the air conditioning on that thing, cool it out. My man was on fire. He was definitely snapping. I appreciate him for all the insight, and I appreciate everybody for touching on everything on this book as well. I'm going to just go ahead and take this spot and go next. This is fire, truly. It's crazy how this thing happened, man. I was literally just in the digital library, just looking around after I showed somebody one day. And I clicked in there and I clicked on the growth folder and I clicked on this book. And I didn't even download it on my phone. I literally just read the first page. And I had already, like, me and Sam had that conversation he mentioned earlier about progress, like the day prior. And I was literally sitting there and I'm like, this book is the one we need to read next. And so I called Marcus and was like, yo, bro, I'm so sorry. And I know we're supposed to do Rich Dad Poor Dad in like 5 days, but like, bro, I think we should read this instead. I feel like this will give a great insight to where we at and where Whole Squads is at. And honestly, as I'm listening to everybody's take and I'm hearing where everybody's at, I am so thankful and grateful for God's divine intervention in making that happen. And then also, he was like, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was like, 15 Invaluable Laws. He was like, I was like, I don't know what we about to do. He was like, let's go ask a neutral party. And so we did. And we went and asked Coach and Wale, whom they haven't been on a book club call yet. They haven't really met Whole Squad. Like,
Sorry, fam.
it's all good, Marcus. We know your phone overheated. We know.
Yeah, much love. But I finished right on time, so I was like, let's go.
It's all, It's all good. We appreciate you, bro. You snapped. But in that, y'all, we had a conversation with them, and they were like, you know what? They were like so simple with it that I felt like they barely kind of even listened to us. They kind of just trusted their spirit, and they picked this one. And so that was literally the reason why we decided to go with it. We just let God do his thing, threw a coin up, and was like, all right, God, whatever you say goes. We just gonna roll with it. And hearing everybody's takes and seeing where everybody's at in their life and seeing what's happened this week, grateful and thankful to say the least. This is wild. So, one, the law of intentionality, chapter one, growth does not just happen. For me, it definitely hit hard right away. As I said, as I started reading this thing, it just spoke to me on so many different levels, but also because, like, ultimately, everybody's at different points in their journey. And wherever you are in your journey, you have a gap, period. Like, we're all not perfect. As we all have read, this is a continuous circuit of growth. You've got to grow to reach your full potential. You never reach your full potential, but in order to reach a new level of potential, you realize you got to grow. In order to grow, you got to be intentional. It's like it's literally a never ending process. And we've been able to create systems to keep this process going. But in some area of your life, you probably haven't either one, dove all the way into the system, or two, created that system as well in order to get to the next level. And that's why we always have places on where we want to go. So I thought it was extremely, extremely valuable for me to take all of those gaps, put them inside of my notes, not only just so I could read them on this recorded call, but also too so that we could all know them going forward and we can take real live analyzations of our life as we continuously climb the ladder of success and realize where we at and what we can continuously work on. Because as chapter 2 talks about, you must know yourself in order to grow yourself. So if you know the gaps, you can understand where you are by taking an analysis of yourself. Therefore, you can continue along this process with intention. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to just go down the rabbit hole of personal development and just read book after book after book after book after book after book after book and think you're growing. But it's a whole nother thing to actually be intentional and actually go and read intentional things, actually go and seek out intentional knowledge, seek out wise counsel in intentional spaces in order to actually go and get to the next levels that you want to get to. It's all intentional. And the more intentional you get, the more on purpose you get. Therefore, the more success happens on purpose in your life. It damn near becomes predictable, period. And this is why you hear those people like, man, everything they touch turns to gold. Why? Because they were thinking about it way before you saw it. They were intentional about all of the actions and the habits that led up to it. And they understood where they had gaps and they worked to actually close those gaps. So in that, the different gaps, real quick, I'm gonna just read them off. The assumption gap, believing growth will come with time. The knowledge gap, not knowing how to grow. It's crazy because the assumption gap is literally a like generalized term. Everything gets better with time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's real life, y'all. Like we actually are conditioned to think the opposite ways of wealth. I don't know if y'all peep game, but in that assumption gap, believing growth will come with time. Knowledge gap, not knowing how to grow. Timing gap, thinking it's not the right time or waiting for the perfect time. Mistake gap, fear of making mistakes. Perfection gap, waiting to find the best way. Inspiration gap, lacking motivation. Comparison gap, thinking others are better. Or the expectation gap, thinking growth should be faster. It's crazy because I definitely know, I be known, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, whoa. For me personally, I have an assumption gap. I definitely have an expectation gap as well, like in my terms of where I'm at in my life. And then also, if I'm going to be keeping a buck, I have a mistake gap too. You know what I'm saying? Heavy. And one thing I highly suggest to everybody, especially as you continue to grow in your space, and to all of us coaches and mentors and people who create these spaces for other people, I highly recommend y'all go get yourself a coach. You can't hear me or you can hear me? I seen you, Roshi. All right, cool.
Is
But
it just me? I can't hear him.
I think it might just be you. Click the little speaker. Boom. But in that, I highly recommend you go get yourself a coach. Like real life, y'all, I have an actual life coach that I do weekly appointments with outside of everything that we got going on. I go take an hour, hour and a half, and I go sit with my man and I take a real life analyzation of my life with somebody else asking me very intentional questions, whom one, I respect, but also two, is a professional in their field. Like, this is not enough. And I hope you guys don't think that it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the bare minimum. And as Marcus said, this is like the standard. And as we go to continue to better our best, understand that there's more work that you must do in order to go and hit the new levels in your life, period. And as you get into creating spaces and creating spaces of growth, it's easy to get into, honestly, the illusion of thinking that, like, your growth is just going to happen over time because you're continuously doing what you are telling others to do, when ultimately you are spending majority of your time with people that you are pouring into. When we all know the rule of 25, you're supposed to spend 25% of the people that you're pouring into 25% of your time with people that are pouring into you. If you don't remember that part and you're just consistently pouring into you via books, via YouTube videos, and you don't go get yourself this actual coaching, that actual one-on-one direct next level step, I promise you, you will hit a lid of success. If you don't go get into spaces where you can get higher level mentorship directly, like you will hit a lid of success. Just a pro tip and a bonus training for everybody outside of whatever industry and space that you're in. But in that, obviously, action steps for this chapter for me were commit to intentional growth. Begin now. There will never be a perfect time, and make mistakes part of your learning process. But for me personally, chapter 2 was huge because with my life coach, we had an amazing session yesterday. The day before yesterday, literally thinking about it brings tears to my eyes. Shout out my guy Marcus for calling me in the middle of this moment, but had a crazy, crazy, crazy encounter with God as well Thursday night. One of the craziest moments of my entire life. And ultimately, it's been because I've been getting extremely aware about who I am and what I'm doing, who I'm around, the whole nine. And so, one, in the law of awareness, real quick, let me slide down my notes. It talked about, do you know what you want to do? And that is such like a general question. And in life, you have people that don't know what they want to do. You have people that do know what they want to do and don't do it. Then you have people that do know what they want to do and do it. And in that, part of that awareness comes from like understanding how you are influenced and how you're affected. And one of those things that influence and affect us is our environment. And so last week, y'all know, I was in Costa Rica. It was a vibe. We had a lot of fun in Costa Rica. It was a crazy different environment. That's for damn sure. So in that, some things happened over the weekend. And as some things happened, I had to put out some fires and deal with some situations. Marcus is laughing because he knows this whole situation. But as these things happened and these situations happened, I came home and I had to put out some real fires. Like, I've real life been having conversations and people have been kind of mad at me this week for honestly building up the trust and transparency that I have and creating this type of space and becoming the type of person that I've been able to become. Whew, it hits different when you go back into spaces that don't have those type of people in them. And in that, as I got to kick it with some of my squad this past week and come back, y'all, my spirit was kind of rocked because I didn't know if I made some of the right decisions coming back home from the guys' trip, being transparent with my wife about everything that was going on and like everything that was happening. And so in that, like, as I made some decisions, I was chopping it up with my life coach and I was like, man, like, one, he was like, so what's your, like, what's your mark? This is always something we do in our sessions. He's like, what's your mark? Like, what would be a win by the end of this session if we can figure something out? Like, what would that be for you? And I was like, honestly, one, I would love to understand why my spirit is so rocked by this situation that happened. And like, ultimately, two of my friends are talking and one of them came to Costa Rica and there was a lot of things going on, a lot of women in the crib. Things happened, and the friend asked him about it. He lied. He put me in the lie. It was a whole lot of bullshit, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I tell the truth, nigga. I got a whole life of 13 years, and I ain't got no time. You know what I'm saying? So, in that whole situation just put me in a weird position, and ultimately, it gave me PTSD from an old situation and position that I used to be in with the same friend, female friend, who had another one of my friends who they were dating for a very long time. They were our best friends. And in that, there was a lot of things that happened in the process of that relationship that put me and my wife in a weird position of like not saying nothing. And so in that, I don't want to be around that no more. I don't like dishonesty. I don't like inauthenticity. I don't like non-transparency. I've built up such an amazing community here within TGF and the friends that I have now that like that shit, it irks my spirit. Like I don't, it messes with me. And I'm like, hell no, I will cut you off in 2.5 seconds. I don't have no time, period. Either you close the gap or we leave your ass down there. And like, this is where we're going. And so in that, I was really trying to figure out like, why did it rock my spirit? Because I didn't understand how I was changing. And one thing that he did, shout out to my life coach, because he doesn't really give me advice. He just asks me questions. But in that, one thing that he did is he changed directions and he had me go and figure out what my core values were. He was like, I want you to think of a memory that you felt the most powerful, like everything was in tune. You know what I'm saying? All of the things that you value. If you can think of all of those things, the first moment that pops into your head, I want you to draw it. And so I draw out this picture and I'm thinking of all the things that make me feel strong, like being a family man. It was a picture I drew. It was it was like October 2020, fresh after we had Brooklyn. We had just moved into a brand new townhouse. Her room was freaking gorgeous. I'm holding my baby girl. I'm on a call. I got 500 people on my team loading into this call on a Wednesday night, about to get it in. My business was on point. My life was on point. Everything was together. My finances were together. Like, I felt like a provider. I felt like a protector. I felt like everything was in tune. My relationship was better than it had ever been, the whole nine. And then he asked me, so on the inverse, what made you feel weird about last week? And circle some words where you felt like they were kind of impacted and they were all value words. And so I circled different ones like leadership. I circled different ones like community. I circled different ones like impact and influence. And what I realized is decisions that got made that were out there genuinely rubbed against with friction on my like core values, on what I've built up for myself as pillars in my life for the current foundation that I have. And so in that, it let me realize like, oh, I don't want to be around that environment no more. And this is why this is fucking with me, because I've been waiting to cut these people off, like Amber was talking about, and I just hadn't. And now I'm really feeling this pain because all of a sudden a situation didn't happen that I knew was gonna happen before I even got here. And then I got here and realized what was happening and was like, why you niggas even bring me here? Y'all didn't even tell me the vibes. And y'all know I'm not on this type of time. This is crazy. Like, yeah, we gonna have fun. I'm gonna make the best of the situation, but bro, like nigga, I've done so much work and you know how much work I've done to get out of this, bro. You gonna put me right back in this environment. That's crazy. And so in that right there, it really, for the law of awareness for me, it really like allowed me to one, understand that before I had that, exactly, I did put myself there. But in that, I ain't gonna lie, I literally didn't look up this place and I went to a city that I had never been to, that my friends had been to 4 times in the last 4 months. And when we get there, I find out there's a lot more than meets the eye to Hako. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say that and be PG on the call because this is recorded. But in that, I was like, yo, what's good? Like, y'all didn't even warn a brother, and this ain't some shit you can find out online. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was different. And so in that, as I looked around and realized I was not aware of the pillars that I had built in my life and how they would be affected by different environments that I went in. And that's one reason why the law of awareness stuck out to me, because it reminded me of how important clarity is in how you move, in how you grow, in the environments that you put yourself in. Because ultimately, I literally wasted a week of my life where I could have been putting it intentional action into exactly where I wanted to go. But instead, I tricked myself into thinking I needed a break, trying to be there for my friend with his bachelor party and go vibe out with my dog and be present and all of that. And ultimately, it was a situation and environment that I real life did not want to be in. And I knew that before I even went, not knowing what anything was. It literally, and I was like, yeah, everybody's like, well, you made the commitment. I'm like, whatever, okay, whatever, I'll go. And as we go, I'm like, yo, this is not it, bro. Period. So in that, it's just a different, it'll put you in a different zone. It'll make you do things that you aren't comfortable doing. It just puts you in a different space when you're not aware. And so I love the fact that this book just breaks this down, especially right in the beginning, because it matters. Literally, you got to think about, what are you passionate about? What sets your soul on fire? What are your moral values? What are your core values? What would you do for free? What makes you come alive? And when you start to ask yourself these questions, you understand what you feel the most passionate about. And when you can understand what those things are, you can establish a life and a vision around that. Hold on, babe. So in that, as
Better
you
go. You
see,
better go.
hail to the gnaw. You know what I'm saying? Hail to the gnaw. When it comes to being this intentional, especially when it comes to me and my growth, she know the vibes. You know what I'm saying? This is on purpose. We wouldn't have the lifestyle that we live if I didn't take these moments. So love her to death, but I'm gonna finish this. But in that, when it comes to this process, like, it literally takes that type of focus. And a lot of people don't even be ready for that. Truth be told, a lot of people aren't even ready for the type of patience that it takes, nor the type of intention that it takes as well, to actually go and create a life and get obsessed with who you want to be, how you want to be, and your personal growth in order to get there. Nor when they actually need you to show up and you got to perform for your people and step up to the plate as well. Like, it just hits different when you're aware and when you get intentional. And so I'm excited because this book ultimately is really going to go into, and I read into chapter 3, so I ain't even going to give you a preview. But this book is really like, it just dives into how and why you should actually be intentional about your personal growth. And I feel like a lot of people in our lives and a lot of people in our business right now as well, they know exactly what to do that will help them get out of their situation. They know the risk management strategy. They know the software. They know the platforms. They know the decisions they need to make. They know the calls they need to make. They know the paperwork they need to fill out. They know all of the single steps, but consistently, day in and day out, they consistently distract themselves on things that they know are not going to get them to where they want to where they want to go. And they consistently don't do the things. And I've been real life trying to rack my brain. Why? And then I found this book, and it's because everybody doesn't know how important, as Marcus said, everything is. It's not just the goal. It's not just the results. It's not just the success. It's literally like, everything is that important. This is that important. Reading the chapters are that important. Taking out that 30 minutes a day to actually focus on whatever skill set you're building is that important. Actually hitting your goals is that important. Majority of people will set a goal and then forget about it for all of the duration of time in between when they set the goal and when the goal day comes. And then they don't even punish themselves. They don't even get mad at themselves for wanting to hit it and missing it. Like, it's honestly crazy to me, and it blows my mind every single time, because why wouldn't it piss you off? And it's because you're not intentional about the goal when you set it in the first place. That's why it didn't piss you off, because or else every single day you would have woke up and had anxiety that you weren't getting closer to it. So in that, literally, like, building up that muscle of obsession, building up that muscle of intensity, building up that muscle of intentionality, that takes real work. And I felt like this book gives a great space for us to open up the door to that world, that gym, if you will, so that you can actually start to work on these things. But with that, that's my share. Imani, if you read in, you in tune, you know what I'm saying? Would love to hear your voice, girl. It's been a minute. It's good to see you again. You know what I'm saying? It's a vibe. But go ahead, take it away.
Hey y'all, love your take. Glad I hopped in on that gym. Um, so I didn't read y'all, and that's okay. It's all good. What can you give me like a little quick synopsis? Maybe I could little drop a little something. It's up to y'all.
The
I
first
enjoy.
chapter was called The Law of Intentionality, and the second chapter was The Law of Self-Awareness. Is that enough for you to
No, no, but you know what? That's okay.
Hey, that is all good. That is all
Thank you
good.
guys so much for your time.
No, thank you. Ain't no thing. Briefly, I'm gonna send you the book. You know what I'm saying? Just go ahead, tune in next week. This is day one of starting this thing too, y'all. So we read chapter 1, chapter 2. Essentially, it talked about one, the big question for chapter two was, do you know what you want to do? Breaks down into three different type of people: people who know what they want and don't do it, people who know what they want and do it, and people who just don't know what they want. And so he just talks about really how to make a decision there. And then chapter one, he talked about the different gaps, honestly, that stop people from growing to where they know they could be, and what really separates potential, which in Mikhail's definition, just you ain't did shit yet. In John Maxwell's definition, it means like at the end of the day, it is the opportunity for success, period. But in that, there's a gap between the opportunity for success and success, and the different definitions of those gaps were the assumption gap, the knowledge gap, the timing gap, the mistake gap, the perfection gap, the inspiration gap, the comparison gap, and the expectation gap.
Okay, I can go off of that for sure.
Wow.
So, so with like expectation, oh my gosh, and perfection. Um, I think Mikkel, you're an older sibling, right? Yeah, I know there's a couple other older siblings on here, um, who've had to take care of their siblings, and that is something that took me a really long time to understand about myself in the self-awareness journey. That I would basically try to make everything as perfect as possible just to make sure my family was okay. Because when I was younger, I've I've had to take care of a lot of people. So I never learned how to take care of myself until I moved to Austin, which was 5 years ago. And I mean, I don't age or anything like that, but your girl is I've been here a few decades. So um I actually learned that perfectionism is something that I picked up trying to make sure everybody is okay during the chaos of my childhood and my teenage years, because it was really hectic. It was crazy. It was scary a lot of times. So if it wasn't on point, it was kind of like, okay, how can I go? So that's actually where I just found out that procrastination is basically a common response for a person being in fear of what could happen if they don't do what they're set out to do the correct way. Which oh, come on, bro. Don't do that. Don't do it. So it it's tough because when I realized in this whole journey that I wanted to know, like, all my self-discovery about myself, like, okay, I know that the knowledge I want, I can receive as long as I look for it, right? So I was like, okay, why do I procrastinate? And it was like, yeah, it's a fear of what could possibly go wrong if you don't do everything to perfection. And I'm like, holy shit. And that stops me a lot of times from proceeding in my life, even though I'm divinely protected, divinely guided, and I am in tune with myself 100%. It's just sometimes there's those moments where it's just too much. So the self-awareness for me is huge in this time. I absolutely know who I am, know where I'm going, know what I'm doing, and I'm in the midst of it all. And as I'm doing that, it definitely I see the differences between waiting for perfection versus actually going after the things that I want. So you just sometimes you just gotta go for it. But knowledge, oh my gosh, that knowledge can really push you through. I did not ever since I joined book club, then anytime I don't know anything, I just feel like, oh, okay, it's not about me needing to be perfect. It's no, I just need time to learn. I just need time to grow. And sometimes that takes a bit, and that's okay. As long as I pick up a damn book, I'm good. So shout out again, my 100th shout out to book club. And thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
All right. So next week we're going to be reading chapters 3 and
And that
4.
whole Anastasia still hasn't gone.
Real
Okay.
life. Anastasia, if you have something you'd like to share, I know she said she didn't want to turn her camera on, and then she.
Yeah, I
Oh,
got a giant ass cold sore because of stress on my face. So today's not the day, but no, I hopped in like an hour late too. So I downloaded the PDF at least when Marco shot out that text. But uh, I guess my job this week is chapters, what, intro 1 through 4 for next week. So I'll be on that one.
Okay, I have something else I want to add that I forgot to say when I was talking about like getting clear about what you want. It said that when we are clear, not quote, I'm like paraphrasing, but like when we're clear about what it is we desire, then the universe responds with clarity. And that was really powerful too. And I just wanted to add that.
Boom. Powerful P. I appreciate y'all for the vibes. Truly, is it definitely going to be an amazing book. I'm going to clip up this story because I got most of it on recording. And Marcus, let me know if you happen to catch a screenshot when I FaceTimed you that day with the Eagle. I'll be lit if you did, because then I can, damn, it's all good. But in that, I'm going to clip up this story because I definitely wanted to tell this story, but it's low key a long story. But just know, y'all, God gave me a crazy sign that we.
I know. Next week it's chapters 3, 4, and 5.
Boom. Yep. Three's quick, y'all. Three's quick, but it's deep. And I'm excited for everybody to get into that. But in that, y'all, had a real live prayer moment with God, just making sure we was doing the right things, the right people, right time. And because life has been moving fast for us all, there's been a lot of things going on in everybody's life. Shit has been moving and grooving. And in that, literally prayed for a sign and got the craziest sign in my life. So stay tuned for the video because I caught majority of it on recording. Said Marcus, I didn't get the screenshot for the moment. But in that though, we's Gucci and we here. And I appreciate everybody continuously showing up for yourselves as well as for Squad, because y'all, this literally goes on a recording and it goes on a YouTube channel and people watch it. When they search up these books, like this is a video that pops up when they search these titles. So in that, people watch this, people get value from your take, your story, as I've always said, is a story. You are literally learning how to tell it. And people are actively learning from what we got going on and actively taking value from all across the world. So in that, big shout out whole squad. I appreciate y'all being in tune with the game. Let's get it cracking. Mute this man. That man, mute that boy G just be boop 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 boop. Him and phones, they just don't get along sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. We love you. No, I'm just playing with you, Gabriel. But in that, y'all, let's get it cracking. Chapters 3, 4, and 5 next week. I will see y'all at the top because the bottom is way too crowded. As a matter of fact, I'll see y'all on the Zoom next Saturday. Peace.
Have a great weekend. Bye, y'all.